Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for our first installment of the Increasing Your Click-Through Rate, or what we'll refer to as CTR for the rest of the Hangout series. Today we're going to cover the use of ad groups, creating a compelling ad text, and also optimizing your keywords to improve that overall click-through rate. I'm joined today with my colleague, Whitney.
Hey.
She's a resident expert on everything AdWords, so we're really happy to have her. So we're just going to jump right in and get started on everything. So first, we should talk about what click-through rate is. So click-through rate, or CTR, is literally just clicks divided by impressions. So that's a number telling us of the number of times your ads were shown, how many people actually clicked on them.
Exactly, and this can then be used as a measure to see if your ad is relevant to a user. If your ad is showing a lot and getting a lot of impressions but not a lot of clicks, it's probably a sign that users aren't finding your ad to be relevant to what they're looking for. Conversely, if you have a very high and healthy click-through rate, it's a really good sign that your ads are engaging to users and very relevant. With a higher CTR, it also tells the system that users like your ad and are engaging with it and think that it's useful. So it's beneficial all around. A number to keep in mind when you're wondering if you have a healthy CTR is about 1%. That's usually the barometer that we use.
Exactly, yeah. We talk to advertisers all day, every day, and 1% or better is always what we tell them as a solid number to aim for. So now that we know what CTR is and what a good number for it is, how do we get there? How do we actually make that 1% happen? And the most important thing to start with is actually structuring the campaign in a healthy way. And so that would be by the use of ad groups.
Yeah, a great example of this is a shoe store. Let's say I sell men's, women's, and children's shoes. If I'm running a campaign for them, I wouldn't want to lump them all in together. So what I'm going to do is create 3 ad groups, one for each. That way, if somebody's looking for men's shoes, they're going to see an ad speaking to that. And if they're looking for children's shoes, they'll see an ad that's talking about that. Really helps present your business in the best light and also make sure that the user knows that you have what they're looking for.
Exactly. A really good example of this is if you were in a department store. If you walked into a store and all of the products were just thrown together in a lump on the ground, it'd be really hard to find what you were looking for. The same goes for your campaigns. So if you want certain things to be grouped together, that's what the ad group is for, lumping like things together to make sure people are finding the right thing and you're getting that higher CTR.
Yeah, so why don't we jump into Account and see how to create an ad group?
Perfect.
Cool. So we're going to start by choosing the appropriate campaign. And then once you have that up, you're going to want to go to the Ad Groups tab. From there, you're going to go ahead and click the bright red plus ad group button. And that will prompt you to create your new ad group. Let's go ahead and make this for women's shoes.
Awesome. And the next section that you'll see there is creating the ad text, but we'll get to that in just a minute because we're going to talk about it first. So now that we have an ad group structure, we want to talk about, okay, what do we need to do to have a really compelling ad?
Yeah, so when you're creating a text ad, there's a couple things to keep in mind to make it as effective as possible. Firstly, you're going to want to make sure that you tie your keywords back into the creative. That's going to go ahead and really get across to the user that you're offering what they're searching for. The other cool thing that happens is when your ad text matches up with what the user typed into the search bar in Google, it automatically bolds those words in your ad. Really helps emphasize you and help you stand out.
Exactly, and this, again, is only going to help your CTR because if somebody does a search and they see those terms bolded in an ad text, they're much more likely to click on it. Another thing to keep in mind is writing the text in an engaging way, making sure that the user feels some sort of action. They want to click on your ad. They want to go to your site. And so what we call a call to action, we want to encourage you to add that to your text. So for our shoe sale, or I guess for selling shoes, you might have a sale coming up. It's fall. There may be some new sale, and you want to highlight that in the ad text. So that's something you want to make sure you're doing so people are more engaged and likely to click through.
The last thing to keep in mind is your landing page. You're going to want to go ahead and make sure that you're taking the user to the page on your site that fits what the ad is about. So if my ad is talking about women's shoes, I should probably take them to the page on my site that sells women's shoes.
Exactly, because if they went to the men's shoe section, that probably wouldn't be the best experience for them.
Yeah.
One final tip on writing an ad text, we recommend always capitalizing the first letter of each word in the text, because that just makes it more aesthetically pleasing, I guess, and more likely for people to click on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go back into this account and let's go ahead and write an ad together. So we're already in the middle of creating this ad group, so let's just create an ad talking about women's shoes. In the headline here, we're going to put women's shoe sale. And that's going to show up in blue and really catch the eye of the user. So you want to keep the headline short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Description line, we're going to put in various styles and sizes. And then close it out with our call to action, which is shop now for fall sale prices.
And that's that call to action we're talking about.
Exactly. So if my website is example.com, just like we talked about, we want to make sure that the landing page goes to the women's shoe section. So let's go ahead and in the destination URL, put in women's shoes. So we make sure to take them to that page.
Exactly.
Cool.
Awesome. So now that we have compelling ads and our structure is in place, let's talk about now using the right keywords and making sure they're optimized to get the best CTR.
This is really important because keywords are actually what trigger your ads. So instead of using a keyword like the word shoes in this example, we're going to want to go ahead and make it specific to the theme of the ad group. So when creating the women's shoes ad group, we'd probably throw in keywords like shop for women's shoes, buy women's shoe sale, things like that. One thing to keep in mind is that keywords usually are best when they're about 2 to 5 words in a keyword string.
Exactly. We want to avoid those one-word keywords. They're typically too general, will match you out to too many things and not get you the most relevant traffic. And again, we want the highest CTR, so the more specific, the better. Another way to make sure you're having the most specific searches match out to your ads is using negative keywords. So this is a way to block certain words to have your ad show. So when you're selling tangible products like shoes, words like free and cheap are typically good ones to go with because you're not selling free shoes, you're selling shoes for a price. So that's a good one to put in there. Another really cool feature is that you can add negative keywords at the ad group level. So that means if we are in our women's ad group, we can add negative keywords for men and children and kids. And so that way we're ensuring that the women's ad will only show for searches that include like women's shoes, not men's.
Another really great resource when you're looking at your keywords is the search terms report. This is a report that's going to show the actual searches that users saw your ad and clicked on it on. This is a really great resource for positive keywords, but a super invaluable one for negative keywords. Mm-hmm. You can actually add keywords directly from that report.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just jump into the account. We'll add some keywords, look at how to add negatives, and then also that search terms report.
Mm-hmm. So to add or modify keywords, go into the campaign and then the ad group that you want to make these changes in, and you're going to select the Keywords tab. From there, to add keywords, go ahead and click the bright red plus keywords button. Let's go ahead and put in men's shoes, because that's what this ad group is about. And then press save on that. And then let's say you needed to modify a keyword, you could actually just click on the keyword directly to make changes from there.
Exactly. And one step past that is adding the negative keywords. And as you see at the bottom of the keyword list, there's a blue link for negative keywords, so you can press that. And this is where you'll see you can add them at the ad group or campaign level. So the campaign level is where we would add things like free or cheap. At the ad group level, for this ad group, since it's men's shoes that we're talking about now, we would add words like women's or children or kids.
Lastly, to check out that search terms report, go ahead and scroll back up to the top of your keyword list and find the details drop-down menu just next to where we were adding keywords before. Go ahead and go to search terms all. This is going to pull up the report. Now, of course, this is just a test account. There aren't any live ads, so we don't have any data here. But for your purposes, when you're checking this out, make sure to give yourself a date range of at least a couple of days. I usually look at least the last 7 or the last 14.
Yeah, same.
So you get some good data to look at. And if you find any searches here that you think are irrelevant or unnecessary for your products, you can go ahead, check the checkbox next to them, and add them directly as a negative keyword from this list.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, that's everything we have for you today in terms of content. We aren't going to be able to answer live questions today due to technical issues. However, we will respond to them directly in the event page or on the YouTube channel. So be looking for that. We will get you answers. Also, make sure to tune in next week. Our team in Dublin is going to continue this click-through rate series, so be watching for that. Also, one last note, this is my last live hangout, so this is the last time you'll see me doing these, but Whitney will be around, so be on the lookout for her. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.